vocationally, I believe that we blow the plan of God in our life all because we don't know how to handle something greater than us minus the understanding of it. We all want to be privy to every detail concerning our assignment. But catch this, even minus the full disclosure, Ron, we have a mandate to obey God beyond what we know. Not knowing is not a green light to disobey. Not being privy to the details is not a pass on doing or being who God has called you to be. Amen? This is the time and this is the season where we have to make moves even when it doesn't make sense. Sometimes you just got to make the move even when it doesn't make sense. We spend a lot of time trying to calculate something that would never add up in the natural. Because it's going to take a manifestation of God's super being placed on our natural. You all know our testimony. We came here a little over 2 years ago, a family of 4. We had $4,700 to our name. Neither one of us had a job lined up. We didn't even get approved for a house until it was 2 weeks before it's time for us to hit the road. I'm sure Coach Franklin, just this move here, it may not have made sense to your wife. What do you mean? We just barely made it out of last season, just got settled here, and now you talk about going to look. Where is Lil Elm? I don't know about no Lil Elm. But you made the move even though it made no sense. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And in times and seasons like this, they're just those moves that we have to make at the unction of God, even though it makes no sense. God, I can see it not making sense if you gave me some type of description. I can see God making this move, even though it's crazy to me, and you gave me some type of details. But what do you do when you're led by God to do something that far exceeds your capacity and ability, and you have no details and it don't make sense? If you're going to win with uncommon weapons, the first thing you got to learn how to do, you got to learn how to run with reduced resources. Nothing deep today, but it's going to be relevant. I promise you. You got to learn how to run with reduced resources. We took a major hit when we made this move to come to Dallas. You talking about reduced resources. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, Lord, I've been to the mountain and I've seen. God, you mean to tell me you want me to vacate the mountain to go to the valley for what? You got to learn how to run with reduced resources. Verses 1 through 3, we see that Gideon, he started out with 32,000 people. 22,000 of the 32,000, they left because they were scared. You got to understand that there'll be times where people will make their exodus out of your life or from your circle, not because they're bad people or not because you're a bad person, but simply because they fear what's on your life.
Wow.
They may fully endorse you, they may fully support you, but they lack the fortitude or the capacity to go with you because of fear. Over half the congregation, gone, Elder Ron. Over half the congregation, Coach Franklin, gone. Are you hearing what I'm saying? That was a major hit. 22,000 folk leave out of 32,000. You can't tell me that resources weren't affected. You can't tell me finances were not affected. And you had less hands on deck. So that means who's left is going to have to what? Pick up the slack.
Yeah.
Are you hearing what I'm saying? The bulk of the slack is going to have to be picked up by those that were left. Let me say this. It's important to know where people are when you're trying to build. This is not limited to ministry. Coach, you can attest to it. You can't build a winning team unless you know where your players are. You got to know their strengths. You got to know their weaknesses in order to maximize what? Your personnel. You have to know where people are when you're trying to build. And one thing I've learned about this whole Gideon scenario is that the deduction had nothing to do with him as a leader. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Sometimes the deductions that God makes in our life, or the subtractions or the retractions that God makes in our life, you can't take it personal because it literally has nothing to do with you. But it had a direct result of where the people were mentally. It said they left because they were what? They were scared. It didn't say because Gideon was a bad leader. It didn't say because they had a problem with Gideon or Gideon had a problem with them. They left solely for the sole fact that they were scared. Amen?
Amen.
Where they were mentally, where they were emotionally prior to executing the assignment. I can only imagine what was at the core of their decision, Elder Ron. But it's clear that they aborted the mission because they were scared. 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7 says, God has not given us what? The spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. The second thing I want to tell you, if you're going to win with uncommon weapons, the second thing you got to do, you got to learn how to maintain with minimal manpower. You got to be able to maintain with minimal manpower. Not only did Gideon lose 22,000 in the first round, but he turns around and loses the what? Another 10,000. He goes from 32,000 down to 10,000 down to 300. Are you hearing what I'm saying? He's left in less than, I'm not a mathematician, but I add pretty good. I subtract pretty good. He's left with less than 1% of his original 32,000. Less than 1% of his original 32,000. Can I help you when I say this? Sometimes the Lord will subtract through divine deduction. You may have those that are scared, and you may have those that are suspect. Something to think about, right? Not necessarily that you can't trust them, but they lack the capacity for you to put the whole of what you're carrying on them. Some people just don't have the capacity to partner with something that's bigger than them. Are you hearing what I'm saying?
Wow.
Verse 4, the Lord told Gideon that he would try them, which means that he would test them, he would vet them, he would prove them to be true. I'm of the opinion that they were just not ready. They were not ready. I don't think that they were subtracted because they had character issues. They were not ready because these were part of the original men that Gideon picked. But God says, even though you picked them, I know that for this they're not ready.
Wow.
Are you hearing what I'm saying? There's some that's just not ready. They're just not ready. You must maintain. These are times where you begin to focus more on what's going to happen and less on how it's going to happen. Maintaining means that I'm focusing on what's going to happen and I give less attention to how it's going to happen. You know you maintain it when you totally pay no attention to how. You just know that. Oh my God, this is good. You forget how it's going to happen. You just know that is going to happen. Are you hearing what I'm saying? For we walk by faith and not by sight. It's the substance of things hoped for or a robust expectation. I'm not concerned about how. I just know that is going to happen. And that's how you maintain. The third thing you got to do is if you're going to win with uncommon weapons, you got to arm yourself with what's available. Okay, not only did he go from 32,000 down to 300, but they had unconventional stuff to work with. Okay, God, if you're going to reduce all of my manpower, if you're going to take me down to less than 1% of my original capacity, at least give me something to work with. Am I helping anybody today? God, if you're going to shrink me down all the way to this, at least give me something to work with. God, if I'm going to walk away from this for this, if I'm going to abandon this for this, if I'm going to forsake this for this, come on, Dad, at least give me something to work with. But what do you do when you have a mammoth of assignment before you and all you have to work with is stuff that's totally uncommon and unorthodox? It says in verse number 8, the people took what? It didn't say they took machine guns. It didn't say they took 40 cals and 9 millimeters. It didn't say they took bazookas. They didn't have bow and arrows. They didn't have knives. They didn't even have a firecracker. They didn't have an M80. It said they took what? Victuals.
Wow.
It said they took victuals. That literally means provision to meet the common need or the bare necessities. Are you hearing what I'm saying? God, you've given me this mega assignment. You've given me this mega task. You've given me this mega responsibility. But all you left me to work with is the bare necessities. Am I helping anybody today? They took victuals, provision, food, the bare necessities. They had the bare necessities and trumpets. Hold on, God. We're supposed to be fighting, not singing. We're supposed to be fighting, not making music. Sometimes God will strip you of every and anything that will give credence that you had anything to do with it. Sometimes God will put you in a position where at the end of that thing, you have no other choice or resolve but to give him all glory and honor. Yes, are you hearing what I'm saying? Amen. It said they took victuals. They took the bare necessity. Catch this. Sometimes there won't be time for you to wait on what you believe in God for. But hold on, God. Can I move when you manifest what I'm believing you for? No. Sometimes there will not be time for you to wait on what you believe in God for. Sometimes you got to believe on the go.
Wow.
Sometimes you just got, I felt that thing, Coach Franklin. Sometimes you just got to believe on the go. Sometimes the assignment calls for you to use what you have access to. Even if it's unorthodox, even if it's unconventional, even if it's uncommon. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to boil water in the baking pan. Are you hearing what I'm saying?
Amen.
Pastor, my kid missed that one. Sometimes you got to use what's unorthodox. Sometimes you got to use what's uncommon and unconventional. Because when you're at this level of believing God, how is out the door.
Amen.
How goes out the door? You know, the text says that the host of the Midianites, catch this, this blessed me. The text says that the host of the Midianites were where? We're in verse 8. Beneath them in the valley. You follow me, Sister Franklin? It said that the host of the Midianites, all of them, were what? Beneath Gideon and the 300 in the valley. Isn't it amazing how sometimes the Lord has set you up to go into battle with your opposition already underneath your feet?
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good.
J-Man, it said that their enemies were beneath them in the valley. Even though what you're left with is uncommon, unorthodox, and unconventional, God will always start you out with the upper hand. Verse 9 through 11, it says, somebody read 9 through 11 for me. Verse 9 through 11. Give me a good read, good strong read, like an educator, a teacher.
During that night, the Lord said to Gideon, "Get up, go down against the camp, because I am going to give it into your hands. If you are afraid to attack, go down to the camp with your servant, Korah,
yeah.
and listen to what they are saying."
Hold on. Gideon is in position, right? Catch this. Even when you're in position, you got to remember God is still speaking. Had Gideon forgot that God was still speaking, he would have never heard God in verse 9 through 11. It said God did what to Gideon? Spoke to him and told him what? Get up and go where? He said, go down to where the opposition is, and I'm going to allow you to become privy to some stuff that's going to help you. We can't get so comfortable that we've arrived at our place of assignment that we forget that God is still speaking.
Amen.
I hope I'm blessing somebody today. You got to understand. Yeah, you made the move, you made the transition, all the boxes unpacked, you settled up, the kids are settled, finances starting to settle, life is starting to settle, but you cannot get comfortable, so comfortable to the fact that you forget that God still wants to tell you some things that's going to further advance you where you are. And I'm speaking from personal experience. Had to understand, yeah, I made the move. Okay, God, now we're settled. Kids in school. Finance starting to stabilize. We got a few little people that believe in what we call to do. But I still have to stay sensitive in my internal ear to know that God is still speaking. Why? Because I'm still headed into something that is bigger than me and my capacity. Finish it up for me, Coach.
So he and Purah, his servant, went down to the outposts of the camp. The Midianites, the Amalekites, and all the other eastern peoples had settled into the valley, thick as locusts.
Thick as locusts.
Their camels could do no more be counted than the sand on the seashore.
That's a lot of people, and that's a lot of resources. Sand on the seashore. Finish up, Coach.
Gideon arrived just as a man was telling a friend his dream. I had a dream, he was saying.
Yep.
A round loaf of barley bread came tumbling into the Midianite camp. It struck the tent with such force that the tent overturned and collapsed. His friends responded, "This could be nothing other than the sword of Gideon, son of Josiah, the Israelite. God has given the Midianites and the whole camp into his hands."
Amen. Now, we know that Gideon was scared because the Lord told him, he said, "Get up, go down to the enemy's camp. I want to show you something." But he said, if you're scared, take your servant Purah with him. Who went with him? Purah went with him. So that confirmed that Gideon was scared, right?
Yeah.
So even being scared, even being intimidated, even being tentative and a little skeptical, God had to allow Gideon to receive a revelation that the victory was theirs. So basically what I'm saying is, you got to stay sensitive to the voice of the Lord even when you're settled. Even when you're settled. The Lord allowed Gideon to hear his enemy tell a dream and interpret a dream. He said, look, I had a dream that, look, those Midianites, they came and they took us out. That's all Gideon needed was a word. Was a word. Was a word. Sometimes all you need is a word to confirm that where you are is your place of triumph. Your place of victory. Because if Gideon went by how it looked, Pastor Monkia, 300 folk against so many people that look like locusts and got so many camels that look like sand on the sea, it just don't look promising, God. Sometimes God will allow you to get a word from your opposition to confirm that you win. God will give you a sneak preview of what you're up against. That's what he gave Gideon. That's all he did. He said, even though you're a little skeptical, even though there's some timidity in you, I want to give you a sneak preview that in the end you win. We're still talking about winning with common weapons. Before you can even worry, God will let your enemies give you a word. God allowed Gideon to get a word from his enemy before worry, trepidation, fear to set in. We know that was a seed that was already in them because when God called them, this joker behind the wine press threshing wheat. So who me gonna do what? How? My tribe is the least of all the tribes, and I'm the least in that tribe. So he was already rejected before when he got the assignment. So God says, you know what, let me give this joker some confirmation. God will hear our heart even if we don't speak it. Gave him confirmation. 1 Corinthians 15:57, it confirms that victory is given to us. Paul says, but thanks be to God that giveth us the victory. That phrase, give it, means to deliver. It means to make available. It means to hand over. It means to place in one's possession. He said, but thanks be to God that gives us the victory. You must know what to do when the Lord gives you confirmation. Okay, what do you do after God has given you confirmation? You got to know what to do. Let me help you out. Let me give you some things you can't do when you get confirmation. Number one, you can't relax. Don't relax once you get confirmation. Number one, something say, don't relax.
Don't relax.
Number two, don't get comfortable. Don't relax, don't get comfortable. Number three, don't lose focus. Number four, don't put your guard down. I'll give it to you again. The first thing you cannot do once God confirms your victory, you can't relax. Number two, don't get comfortable. Number three, don't lose focus. Number four, don't put your guard down. You may say, okay, why? God confirmed. It's confirmed. I know I'm going to win. Why can't I relax? Why can't I get comfortable? Why can't I start focusing on other things? Why can't I put my guard down? I'm glad you asked. Y'all got some great questions today. The reason you cannot afford to relax, get comfortable, put your guard down, and lose focus is because the fact still remains that you're headed into battle. So what? You had a good practice Thursday. You still got a war waiting on you Friday night under the lights. So what? You had a good women's call on Monday. You still got Tuesday through Sunday to contend with. Are you hearing what I'm saying? We cannot afford to get relaxed. We cannot afford to get comfortable, lose focus, or put our guard down because the fact still remains that we're headed into a war. Even if the victory is already proclaimed, even if the victory is already guaranteed, we still have to maintain a certain position for that thing to manifest. Because all it takes is one episode of you not being focused, one episode of you having your guard down, or you getting comfortable, and you could blow the whole thing. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Because even though it's getting done, God is using us to get it done. Next thing I want to tell you is you got to spend time with the Lord before you confront opposition. Can somebody read verse 15 for me? That's fine.
I'm in it.
That's fine. Whatever verse you got.
After he heard the man talking about the dream.
Hold on. This after Gideon heard the interpretation of the dream. What happened, Pastor Mike?
And what it meant.
And what it meant.
Gideon bowed down to God. Then Gideon went back to the camp of the Israelites and called out to the people, "Get up, the Lord will help us defeat the Midianites." Then Gideon divided the 300.
Hold on. He got confirmation, but before he went back and said anything to the team, what did he do? He worshiped. It's so easy to forget to worship when we got something mega that we're responsible for. My God. You have got to spend time with the Lord before you confront opposition. Before you confront opposition. Regardless of what type of opposition, you've got to spend time with God. It said, get in worship, then he returned to the camp. He didn't get so excited because he had a revelation. He didn't get so excited because God confirmed. He didn't get excited because he got something that helped him deal with his timidity or fear. He had sense enough to worship God. Just because you get a word confirming your victory does not mean you can go into battle careless or reckless. Help us today, Lord. Just because you get a word confirming your victory does not mean that you can go into battle careless and reckless. Even when you get confirmation, guess what you still need? You still need a strategy. You still need a strategy. Verse 16 said that Gideon divided the 300 men into groups of 100. He divided the 300 men into groups of 100. And then he equipped them. Notice, the equipping came after he divided them. He divided them, he instructed them, then he equipped them. Are you hearing what I'm saying? That speaks of strategy. I'm of the opinion that the time that Gideon spent between hearing the confirmation and going back and giving them the word, I believe God gave him strategy during worship. Are you hearing what I'm saying? My God. Could it be that you have not gotten strategy because you are absent in that place of worship? Could it be that it's frustrating? Could it be that it's baffling? Could it be that it's heavy? Could it be that it's oppressive because you have yet to get strategy? As soon as he came out of worship, he confirmed victory was theirs. He immediately began to execute strategy. He divides them up. He begins to instruct them. And he gives them what they're going to use to get it done. Are you with me, saints of God? We're wrapping it up, I promise. Oftentimes, we deal with momentum-killing episodes in our churches, in our lives, in our careers, in our businesses, because we arm people corporately, but we never introduce them to team. We never introduce them to team ministry, team concepts, a team mindset. We'll sprinkle we out there, but what about team? TEAM, together everybody accomplishes more. And we run into momentum-killing episodes because our team is armed, but we never introduce them to team concept. And now what you have renegades and long rangers, everybody doing their own thing. Within our ministry, within our home, in our businesses. Why? Because we've empowered people, we've enabled people, we've armed people, but we never introduced them to the concept that's going to bring success for everybody. Am I making any sense today?
That's good.
The text says that Gideon armed his team, how? With uncommon weapons. It says that Gideon armed his team with uncommon weapons. You may say, okay, where's the uncommon weapons? They didn't have guns. They didn't have knives. Sister Frank, they didn't have tanks. They didn't have bows. They didn't have arrows. They didn't have spears. They didn't even have a butter knife. They didn't have a slingshot. They didn't even have one of these. They have nothing. He gave each of them, catch what he gave them, Pastor Nicole. He gave them each a trumpet, a pitcher, and a lamp. A trumpet, a pitcher, and a lamp. That's all he gave them, Roger. But catch this revelation that God gave me. This blew my mind. This blew my mind. I was 32,000 feet in the air on my way to Augusta, Georgia when God gave me this revelation. Although he gave them uncommon things to use as weapons, Gideon literally maximized their capacity by establishing teams prepared to be mobilized. Why is that relevant? It's relevant because a mobilized few will always be more effective than a stationary multitude.
Wow.
A mobilized few will always be more effective than a stationary multitude. What are you saying, bald-head preacher? All I'm trying to say is sometimes you have got to maximize what you have access to and make it so that it can be mobile. A lot of times we're not able to be effective in what we have access to because we don't position it to go with us. If your resources are limited to where they are, they can never help you where you're going. Let me prophetically highlight the trumpet, the pitcher, and the lamp. It said he gave him a trumpet. That word trumpet comes from the Hebrew word shofar. Somebody say shofar. And it's literally a horn. It means to give clear sound. Guess what it represents? Pastor Makia, it represents a voice. When he gave them the trumpet, Ruby, he literally gave them a voice. Are you with me? He gave them a picture. You might drink Kool-Aid? You see the Kool-Aid drinkers. You make Kool-Aid in the what?
Picture.
In the picture. We're in the 21st century. We still ain't stopped making Kool-Aid in pictures, have we? Amen. It tastes different, different flavors. But one thing that's consistent with Kool-Aid, you still make the best Kool-Aid in the what? In the picture, right? He gave them a picture. The word picture comes from the Hebrew word kad, and it's a jar. From the root meaning, that word picture, guess what it means? Coach Franklin, it means to deepen. You teach English, right? Math. I thought I had an English teacher. It means to deepen. Follow me, I'm going somewhere. That word picture means to deepen. Prophetically, that means, or it represents, capacity.
Wow.
Not only did he give them a trumpet that represents a what? Voice. He gave them a picture, which is a prophetic symbol of capacity. Then thirdly, he gave them a lamp. It literally means a flame or a torch. From the root meaning, it means to shine. Somebody say to shine. But prophetically, it represents distinction.
Wow.
Are y'all going with me, or am I going by myself? He gave them a trumpet, he gave them a voice. He gave them a picture, he increased their capacity. He gave them a lamp, that he marked them with distinction.
Wow.
Basically, the 300 that Gideon had to work with, they neither looked nor sounded like anything that the Midianites had ever came up against. The best type of battle is the one where the enemy does not recognize who you are, or how you are, or what you are. They had no idea, because Gideon and his army looked nothing like what they were used to. It's another name to say, so what you different?
So what you do?
It's supposed to be that way. I don't know what battle you're in. I don't know what war you're facing. But God told me to tell you, yeah, the victory is guaranteed, but he's going to get it done in an uncommon way. Equipping must be followed by instruction. Verse 17 through 18. Gideon basically told him, look, I think I'm going to reveal my age when I make this quote. Gideon had a ludicrous moment in verse 17 through 18. He basically told them jokers, he said, when I blow my horn, you blow your horn. When I lift my pitcher and my lamp, you lift your pitcher and your lamp. When I shout, you shout. He basically tells them jokers, when I move, you move. Just like that. Are you hearing what I'm saying? He basically told them, look, when I move, you move. No questions asked. Whenever you do things the Lord's way, he gives you sweatless victories. Can I help somebody? It's time for you to stop exerting unnecessary energy on things that should be effortless. You're trying too hard. Young people say you're doing too much. You're doing the most. Are you hearing what I'm saying? But when you do things the Lord's way, he gives you what I call effortless and sweatless victories. Verse 19. Each man was positioned properly. The A clause of verse 19 says each man was at what? His post surrounding the Midian camp. If you're going to win with uncommon weapons, you got to understand that you got to be where you're assigned to be. Somebody ain't winning because they're where they want to be and not where they're assigned to be. You'd be surprised at the people that are losing right now because they're where they were suggested to be and not where they're supposed to be. But verse 19 says, each man was where, Sister Franklin? At his post, surrounding the Midian camp. Each man was where they were what? Supposed to be. So you got to position yourself properly. Number two, you got to act accurately. The B clause of verse 19 says, they blew their trumpets how? As they were instructed. Ron wasn't blowing his trumpet when he wanted to, he wasn't blowing at 8 o'clock and Rupert's blowing at 8:30, and then you had JD blowing at 8:15, and then Pastor Montiel was blowing hers at 9:45. No, they blew their trumpets as they were instructed. That was a measure of accuracy that caused them to be effective. Are you hear what I'm saying? Number 3, they stayed in sync. Verse 20 says, they broke the jars. They had the torch in the left hand and the trumpet in the right hand. That was a unified front. And they were in sync. They broke the jars at the same time. The torch was in the left hand. The trumpet was in the right hand. And it says that they did what together? They shouted how? Together. They shouted together, swore for the Lord and for Gideon. It never said that any of them did their own thing, what they wanted to do, when they wanted to do it, or how they wanted to do it. It said that they shouted together. And I believe that how they were positioned, what they had in their possession, and their unified front caused them to come into an uncommon victory with uncommon weapons. I'm done when I say this. I promise you, I'm not one of those preachers that got 5 or 6 closes. I'm done when I say this. Uncommon weapons are only sufficient when used obediently as instructed by the Lord. I'll say it again. Uncommon weapons are only effective and only sufficient when they are used how? Obediently as instructed by the Lord. The text says the entire meeting camp, when they broke the pitchers, raised their pitchers and lamps, and shouted, it said that the entire meeting camp, they did what? They jumped up and yelled and fled. And the Lord said the ones that didn't run, he called them to turn their weapons on each other. Are you hearing what I'm saying? They didn't need common weapons. Because through their obedience and their unified front, the Lord caused the weapons that the enemy had to be sufficient to turn on one another. Are you hearing what I'm saying? We're all in a season in our life. We're all in a battle in our life. We're all in a fight in our life. And many of you are discouraged because you feel that what you have available is not sufficient to get it done. You feel as if that this time it's got to be won the way that you won last time. But could it be that God is setting you up to come into a mega victory, but he wants to use it with minimal things? Could it be that? Could it be that God really, really wants to position you to be victorious a way that's totally uncommon to you and everybody around you? That's why it's so important that we don't get caught up in what people are saying, what people are thinking, and how and what other people are doing. Because God has a strategic but yet specific way that he's going to get it done in your life. But will you trust the process? Will you trust the process? Are you losing?